there, and welcome to my channel. I'm Crafty Kathy. I'm the owner and creator of Kent's Vintage Farmhouse in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm so happy and thankful that you stopped in to do some Christmas crafting with me today. This is my doggy, Tuffy Tater, and he wanted to stop in and say hello also. And I have for you some DIYs that are made with mostly Dollar Tree items. They were really easy to make. Each one costs less than $5. And I hope that you like them. But enough of my blabbing. Let's jump on into the DIYs. My first DIY is my favorite of the bunch. I was inspired by this cute little piece that I found at a thrift store. I got this when I was down in Florida. It's a little mouse eating his peppermint, and it's got a little place to put a tapered candle. It had $2 on the bottom, but it was half price, so I only paid $1 for it. Then I'm also going to use one of these small gift boxes from the Dollar Tree, and of course it was only $1.25. I'm going to use my very most favorite paint, which is DIY paint, in the color Black Velvet. Now DIY paint is clay-based, it's very thick, and so it only takes one coat to cover this. And while I'm painting my box, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for stopping by. If this is the first time you've ever been to my channel, welcome, and we're so happy to have you. I would love for you to subscribe and become a part of our family. And the way that you do that is there is a button that says subscribe right beside my name underneath the video. And when you click on it, it's going to show a drop-down menu with a bell. And if you click the word all, YouTube will let you know every time that I upload a video. Now here I just have what's left over from one of those foam trees from the Dollar Tree. It's just kind of the bottom half of it, and that's all we're going to need. We're going to flip our piece of foam upside down, and I'm also going to paint this black because you don't want it to show. And you do want your foam to hang out just a little bit from the top because we're going to be adding things there, and you want to be able to stick them down into that foam. Now your foam should fit into your little piece really snug. Well, not really snug, but you know, snug where it's not going to move around. And just paint it real good to camouflage that bright white color. Then after you get all your foam painted and camouflaged, you're going to want to dry it, but be really careful because that heat will destroy that foam. So just use a very low setting and kind of hold your heat gun back a little. Now the next step is I made sure my little mouse was all cleaned up, and I'm going to use this Loctite Power Grab. I get this stuff from the Dollar General, and it's really good. I like the way that it dries quickly, and it's just a good adhesive, and I want this to stick. I'm totally out of E6000, and this is a good alternative. So I just put a fairly good amount on there, and then in the middle of that, I'm going to put my hot glue. That way it'll stick right now. Now I know that you probably don't have a mouse just like mine, but if you have a favorite ornament or a favorite piece that's small like this, you can make the DIY exactly like this. Just use whatever piece you want to be your main focal point. Then I'm just going to stick my little mouse on the very front. He doesn't need to be sticking off the side, but just make sure he's on the front. We're also going to use one of these bottle brush trees that I found at the Dollar Tree. They're so pretty this year. I did pull out a few of my IOD molds because I'm wanting some of those snowflakes on the very front of my little gift box. Now, I know that Dollar Tree comes out with molds, and I've used those before, so you can also use those as an alternative if you wish. Now, if you do want some of these IOD molds, my friend Lori over at Milton's Daughter has a very few left, very, very few, and when they're gone, they're gone. So I'm going to leave her information down below so you can go visit her store, miltonsdaughter.com, and get you some. This one is called Ginger and Spice, and it's got little gingerbread men on it, and all I want from it is that little peppermint piece there at the top. I'm using a clay called Creative clay, and it's just the second time that I've used it. It's a little different than the clay that I'm used to, but all you do to make your mold is just stick your clay down in there, and it's got a little lip on the back of it where you can run your finger over it and make a perfect shape, and then you just flip it over and it comes out. I also made this little bow that's a part of this one called Oh Christmas Tree that has a huge Christmas tree on the front of it, and then it has little hollies and things like that. But this is the one that I really wanted. Now this one is from last year. It's called Blitz, and it has different sized snowflakes on it. That's what I really wanted, was one of these big snowflakes on the front of my box. So I'm only going to create a few of those. I'm going to create one that's kind of a medium sized here, and then a few smaller ones. Now, anytime that you're working with the mold, you want to dust it with cornstarch and then just get off the excess. And the reason why you do that is because it helps the clay not to stick. See how easily it comes out? And it's perfect every time. It's so pretty. After I get all of my pieces set out, I'm just going to paint them. Of course, the snowflakes, I'm going to paint them white because you'll notice the clay is more of a beigey white color, and I don't want that. I want my snowflakes to be bright white and beautiful. I'm going to apply my Type Bond Quick and Thick, which is actually a wood glue, but it's really good to hold these molds. I'm going to put it on the back, and I always put my molds on whatever the DIY is while they're still wet, because that way they will mold to the shape of the DIY. For instance, this is curved, this little box is curved, and if I let this snowflake dry on this box, it's going to be curved also. So all I'm going to do is put my little snowflakes exactly where I want them on the box with my Type Bond Quick and Thick. And then after I get all of my pieces exactly where I want them, I'm going to use just a little bit of like a masking tape over the top of them so they won't slide, and I'm going to lay my piece down flat so it won't move and it can dry overnight, and I just leave it alone overnight. Now here we are the next day, and all our pieces are dried on beautifully and they're shaped to the formation of that box. And I'm just going to use this little pick. It came from Dollar Tree off of one of their little ornaments, I think. And I like the little pieces, so I'm going to use it, and I'm going to stick this in right underneath my little mouse. And look, it just fits there perfect. It's like two little pieces of pine, and then it's got a little bow tie on it, so it just makes it perfect and cute. Now we're going to take the bottom tag off of this little tree that I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to unscrew that little wooden bottom, and you see it's already got the wiring in it, so it's going to be so easy. I'm just going to pop this tree down kind of catty corner behind my little mouse, and it's going to go right down into that foam very nicely. See, that's why I said even if you don't have a mouse, you can use whatever one of your favorite little pieces is and do this exact same DIY. I'm going to use these little pieces that just says snow greenery, and this came from Dollar Tree also. I'm going to cut them off because I definitely want that wired stem so I can stick them down into that foam. So I'm just going to take those two small pieces of greenery and pop them down on the opposite side of that little tree. And as you're looking at the mouse from the front, it just gives it such a beautiful, just look how pretty that is. It's so cute. I got this red tapered candle for just 88 cents at Walmart. And if you just put the whole candle in there, it's way too tall. So we're going to have to cut that in half. And I just used my cutters that I have that actually cut wood because I didn't know how hard it was going to be to cut. It was so easy. I just kind of cut it in half, and I made it to where it's about 5 inches tall, 4 or 5 inches, and that was the perfect height. Now I'm just going to take some of my Mod Podge, and I'm using matte Mod Podge, but it really doesn't matter what kind you use. And I'm going to use a paintbrush and just paint this Mod Podge all over this candle. And those of you that normally watch my video, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Glitter. Now, a lot of people don't like glitter, and if you don't, you can omit this step. But I just love the way that glitter catches the light at Christmas, and when I have all the lights turned off and only my Christmas lights on, I just love the feeling that it gives me. The way that it shines off that glitter is so pretty. And it looks like I'm wasting a lot of this glitter, but that's why I do it over a piece of wax paper, because I can just fold it in half when I'm finished and pour it right back in my bottle and use it again. And the way that I keep my glitter from just going everywhere and looking like a glitter bomb went off is I use this Loctite spray adhesive. You can also use hairspray, and I just take it outside and spray it all over my candle, and it doesn't like shed at all. Now here I'm just using my little glue skillet, and I'm putting a good amount of glue down inside where the little candle goes. That way my candle will stand up straight. Since I had to cut it off, it made it just a little bit smaller at the bottom, so I just wanted to add a little bit of glue to make sure that it's going to stay the way that it needs to. And this candle, since I've used glitter, will not be used to burn, plus there's that tree behind it, so we would totally set the house on fire. This is absolutely just for decorative purposes. I'm going to use this gorgeous ribbon that came from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to put this on the bottom of the box. I took the lid to the box, I painted it black in the first, and I'm going to put it underneath the box, and that's what I'm going to put this ribbon on. I just add a little bit of glue to the very back where the seam is, and that's where I'm going to start my ribbon at. That way it just looks, uniform in the front. And every little bit I'm going to put some glue. I'm not going to use much glue because it really doesn't take much. And then I smooth it out so we won't have any glue bumps underneath our ribbon. And you just do that quickly before your glue dries. But be careful, don't burn your fingers. And then I just go all the way around to where it just connects back at the back and cut the excess piece off. Our piece is looking so beautiful, and you could stop there if you want to, but you know I'm not going to. The only thing that could possibly make this piece any cuter is, of course, some string lights. You guys that know me know I love my string lights. And these are a bright white color. These were sent to me by a company called All of Us. And I will leave their information down below in case you want to go get some of their string lights. For 16 packs of their string lights, it's only like $16. So it's actually a little bit cheaper than the Dollar Tree. And all I did here was start at the very top of my tree. And since these string lights have the wire inside them, they're really easy to maneuver. And the little tree had 3 different sections, or 4 sections, and I just went around each section 2 times so I would make sure that I had plenty of lights. I'm just going to take the little battery pack down and put it at the very bottom at the back. That way you can always turn it off and on. And I always make sure that the little screw part is on the outside. So if you ever need to change the batteries, it'll be really easy to change and you won't even have to take it off. And to finish this piece off, I'm just taking some white paint and a little paintbrush. It doesn't matter what kind of brush you use. This is just the first one I grabbed. And I'm just adding a little bit of that white paint here and there on the branches throughout, so it just looks like beautiful snow has just fallen on this sweet little mouse. I hope you like this one. The second DIY is equally as beautiful and it's very easy to make. We're just going to use one of these floral hoops, and I'm going to use some of this burlap that I got from Walmart, and I'm going to use some of those floral pins, but you don't have to use those. There's other ways to get around it, but I just didn't want to use glue. So I'm going to get my tags off of everything and let's get started. I'm going to start off by just putting a small amount, like a little line of glue, on the back side of my hoop, and then I'm going to put my burlap down. And of course, I realized I needed my finger protectors on so I can protect those fingers. You don't want to go losing your fingerprints, you know. So I'm going to get these on, and now let's get started. So since I started off with that one little piece of glue, you don't have to keep adding glue. I don't like to add glue because it just makes it so much easier to reuse your pieces if they don't have glue gummed up all over them, you know? So all I'm doing is taking this burlap and just wrapping it as tight as I can so it doesn't have any big humps in it, and I'm going to go all the way around my wreath. Now, like I said, I got this burlap. It's 5-inch burlap that you get in the floral department at Walmart. I think they are like right around $4. And I've had this roll for such a long time. It really lasts a long time. And, you know, since I'm not using much glue on this, I can actually even reuse what I just put on here. So I just go all the way around and wrap it as tight as I can. And as you see, I only had to use that glue when I first started, and then I'm going to use some glue when I actually come to the end of pulling it all together. Just keep special attention that you're making sure that you're not getting it kind of like crumpled up and it stays straight. The way that I did that is when I made my round and tossed it through there, I just pulled everything really tight and made sure it was straight. I always cut off just a little bit more than I need because it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to pull it around there, and I'm not really sure why I didn't use another bead of glue to hold that down. I just grabbed those floral pins for some reason and put those in there. I don't really know what exactly was in my mind at the moment because really it would have been easier to just put a little bit of glue there. But hey, you never know what's going on inside my mind. It's a scary place to be. So I popped the little floral pins in there, and I mean, it's just as good as using the glue, and I still used glue. Oh, wow. Way to go, Kathy. You are a pro today, baby. But I got my finger protectors on, so that's a good thing. Wow, Kathy. Now let's go on to our next step. I'm going to use one of these gorgeous reindeer from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to attempt to get him off of that little wood piece. But he has 2 metal stakes that are holding him down, and they are holding him down really well. So what I did was I first tried to just cut it with my cutters, and it didn't really work so well. So I just kind of twisted it. I held the wire and twisted it, and it came out pretty easy that way. But be careful not to do too much of a force with your twisting because you'll mess up the shape of his little legs. Now, I didn't like at first how you could still see that metal piece sticking down. And I tried to cut it, but it was so thick, I couldn't get through it. And I thought, that's okay, we can disguise it. Let's keep moving. So I took my little reindeer outside and I gave him a coat of my favorite spray paint, which is the Rust-Oleum 2 times in the matte black color. So now it's time to put this bad boy together. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to do my wreath. If I wanted to do it, I like usually to put my florals on one side. I just think that looks really pretty and elegant. And I kept laying out the little floral pieces that I have. I got these off of Amazon, by the way. It's just little cedar picks, and they're in my Amazon store in case you want to go get some. They're very inexpensive, but I like to use them to fill in all my pieces with. But I finally decided it's going to look best if I put my florals down on the bottom. So what I did was just cut off a little bit of the wire that's holding these picks because it was so long. And then I went in at an angle And of course, there is a wire in these florals so you can bend them appropriately so they'll go up the wreath and look beautiful. I ended up putting 3 pieces on each side. And like I said, these are just beautiful little pieces of cedar, and they just make such a pretty background for this reindeer. And before I move on to the next step, I always take the little greenery pieces that I'm using for the background and kind of fluff them up and step back and look at it and see if it's what I want. I'm going to use these little picks that I got from Walmart. They were just $1.28 a piece, which is actually about the same price as the Dollar Tree, and the quality is so much better. I'm going to dismantle this piece by cutting that bottom, cutting it off at the bottom, and then that way I can pull the pine cone out, I can pull the little red berries out, and the other little piece of pine, and I kind of fooled around with it for a minute because I usually like to put different types of greenery in my pieces. And I didn't like that one greenery that it had in there. But I did like the little piece that looks like a Christmas tree, like it's kind of spriggy, the piece that I have in my hand here. And so I added one of those to each side. Actually, I added 2 to each side. A bigger piece and a smaller piece in front of it. And once I made the hole to put those 2 pieces in, I did use a little bit of glue because I was afraid that it was so thick of a wire that it was going to come back out. It just didn't go down into this floral wreath as easily as I wanted. I love these red berries. I think they're so pretty. And I'm just going to add a little bit of glue and put them down in the same way that I did that thick wire. I don't want them going anywhere. And I want to make sure that they're going to be stuck on this wreath for all of Christmas. And to me, this is a nice size wreath to put on your door. Sometimes I don't like the big gaudy wreaths to go on my door. There's a lot of times when I like a smaller, simpler wreath that just says so much. And I think that this wreath is so pretty. And it's going to look so beautiful with my little black reindeer right in the middle. So I found his placement. And as you see, I hid those 2 little places where the wire comes down in his feet. I just hid it with the greenery. It was very easy to hide. I'm going to add just a couple of little drops of glue up behind his antlers, and that's going to hold him in place right there. Down at the bottom, he's stationed inside that greenery, so he doesn't need any more glue, and I always try to use the less amount of glue that I can. I am going to use these beautiful pine cones that was on these picks. I'm going to put 1 on each side of my little reindeer. And they have a little wire inside them, but the wire wasn't sticking like it needed to. So I just added a little bit of glue and put those right at his feet. And this wreath is turning out so beautiful. And so far, if I had to guess how much I've got into this wreath, it's about $5 because the wreath itself was $1 and then the reindeer's $1 and then you count the 2 sprigs that I got there, and that's $4. And then the little cedar pieces may be another $1. I love these small bows at Christmas time because you can pop them on anywhere. I'm going to put this right on his neck and make him look like he's a handsome debonair man in the woods with his little bow tie on. And guys, I get these off of Amazon. They come in black and white and red and white, and I use the hound out of these at Christmas time. They're really cheap. They're in my Amazon store in case you want to go look at them, but I popped that right on his neck, and it made all the difference in the world. I buy these other bows every year at Walmart. You get 10 bows for $4.97, and I love the red and black. I think it's so pretty and it goes so well with this bow. I couldn't figure out how to put it on the bottom. I knew I wanted a small bow down there, but it just kept getting smushed. So what I did was cut off the very end of one of these picks because that's all we need. And I'm going to glue that to my little bow. And then that way I can pop that bow right into that floral foam, and it's going to make that bow come up off of the wreath just enough to where it's not going to be smushed by the pine cones. I wanted to dovetail the bottoms of these bows because they just come at a slant. So what I did is just folded it in half, and you always want the piece that has the wire to be your longest piece, and you just cut it upward into a V, and that's how you create a dovetail. It's very simple. It took me a while, which is funny, to learn how to do the dovetail because I kept doing it the opposite way and my bows would look so bad, y'all. It's crazy. But I mean, practice makes perfect. Not saying that I'm perfect by any means, but practice definitely helps. So I got that bow exactly where I wanted it to be, got it dovetailed, and I'm going to pop it right down in the bottom. And like I said, it's going to be long enough now with that stem that it sticks up and I can fluff that beautiful bow and not worry about it getting smushed by the pine cone. And y'all know that I love everything to look snowy and beautiful. So I just took one of my brushes and I added my white paint, and I got most of it off, which is called dry brushing, and I'm just going around and I'm dry brushing different parts of these beautiful cedar picks. That way it looks like snow has just fallen on it in the forest. And then this beautiful deer with his bow tie is so handsome for his lady. Now, the way that I like to do the snow on these berries is I just tap them. That way it looks like snow is falling on there and it looks realistic. And I love to put snow on the pine cones. I think that makes all the difference in the world, y'all. I'm going to take one of my small buttons that I get in little packs at the Dollar Tree. It's in like this little tiny plastic container, and they're usually up at the checkout area. I absolutely love buttons, and I just think it's so cute to put one right in the middle of that bow tie. Then I grabbed some Mod Podge, and it doesn't matter what kind of Mod Podge you use. It's just the first one that I grabbed is what I used. I put some on my brush the same way that I did the white paint, and I very lightly went over the pine cones and just kind of brushed over the cedar because I'm going to use my favorite glitter that I get from Amazon. It's called Sue Lynn Extra Fine Diamond Glitter. It's just a beautiful, sparkly diamond glitter, and it's so beautiful on all my different things for Christmas. I think this glitter is only around $4 or something on Amazon. It's in my Amazon store. It's the best glitter you can use for just a little spritz. And then I couldn't help myself. I had to keep going. I put a little bit of the Mod Podge just on his antlers, and I added the glitter because I wanted a little sparkle up there. And now we're going to make a very simple and quick hanger for this. I took some of the burlap. This is a actual burlap ribbon that comes from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just folding it over so it won't be so thick. And I'm just going to wrap it around the top of my wreath. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of glue at the very top and seal it together. And my wreath is complete. It was really easy to make, but look how beautiful.
Then you know it's Christmas when the snow starts to fall. Then you know it's Christmas for the children above all. Then you know it's Christmas 'cause Santa's on his way. We'll stand under the mistletoe, and then it's Christmas Day. The joyful times we witness forever stays with us. Soon Rudolph hears his whistle and gathers.
Now we're down to our last DIY, and I got this plaque from the Dollar Tree, and I got it in the $3 section. But there is also an alternative if you don't want to use that one. For $1.25, they have this smaller plaque, and you can do this DIY with that one also. I'm going to use my DIY paint in the color beadboard, which is a gorgeous off-white color, and I'm going to give this, I think I just painted it one good coat all over. It was one coat, but I made sure to get the end pieces there, and also behind the plaques you can see the pieces that are holding it together, and I also painted those white. I just made sure that the whole piece was covered. I grabbed these cute little reindeer from the Hobby Lobby, and there's 12 pieces in there. Now, they were normally $2.49, but everything at Hobby Lobby is half off, so I only paid $1.25 for these. And I think these are the cutest little reindeer I've ever seen. So I pulled off all their little red noses because I didn't really like the little red pom-poms on there. I got the idea to do this DIY from another creator. Her name's Christina Elizabeth, and I was watching her DIYs the other day, and I thought this DIY was so adorable and wanted to make it on my own. So I popped all the noses on there, and guess what we are going to use for our noses? We're going to use buttons because they're very plentiful, or you can use these little pieces that you can pop in furniture. But if you ask me, the buttons are way easier to get a hold of. You get them at the Dollar Tree, and they're just little black round buttons. They're so sweet. So I popped the little black buttons on 8 of my reindeer. And then, of course, you know Rudolph is going to have a red nose, but he's not going to have a red pom-pom nose. I didn't like that idea. So I just went ahead and gave all of them the little black buttons, very cute. And I placed them on the plaque, 3 on each little board. I'm going to place them kind of toward the bottom, and I've got them spaced out to where they are equally spaced out because it looks very uniform and very nice, and that's what attracted me to this DIY. And as you see, my little Rudolph has a cute little button red nose. Now, the other girl that had created this, she didn't use buttons. I can't remember what she used for their noses, but you know me, I had to go with the buttons. And I just went through with each reindeer and put them down piece by piece and got them all glued on there. And I rarely use my Cricut, but I thought that it would be the easiest way to make all the names of the reindeer. And I did put them in order. When I was a little girl, my mama used to read me "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and I can recite that whole book without even looking at it. So I did put them in order because Santa says, "Now Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, on Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, dash away, dash away, dash away all." But right in the center, you know I had to put Rudolph because he is the star of this show. And don't you worry if you don't have a Cricut. You can use letters from other sources, like you can get some from the Dollar Tree. I know that Walmart has stickers that has beautiful letters, and they're really good priced. I used to use those before I had a Cricut. I think they're about $1.50 per pack, and you can just use those and put your names on there. There's different ways to get around it if you don't have a Cricut. And that's the main reason why I don't really use my Cricut a lot, because I know a lot of my subscribers don't. And I want to show you ways that you can make these DIYs and try to inspire you to, be creative and have different options. So I've got all of my names put on here, but there's one more little touch that I've got to add to it. You know that Vixen has to be a girl. And if she's a girl, she's got to have a Crafty Cathy hair bow. So I'm going to use one of my cute little bows that I get from Amazon, and I just pulled it down to make it really tiny, and I'm going to glue that right on top of her little head. Now, I think she's perfect. Look how cute. I love it, and I hope you guys like this one too.
Merry Christmas, baby. Reindeer's coming out to play. Santa Claus is packing the presents, making sure you've been behaving okay. Merry Christmas, honey. Yeah. The snowman's dusting off his hat, putting on the show for everybody to give him a smile.
If you guys stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. And hey, hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet. We would love to have you as part of our family. Also, if you did enjoy this video, please give me a big thumbs up because that really helps me out on YouTube. They'll push my videos out there to people who've never seen me before, and like I always say, I greatly appreciate that. Everyone asks who these people are in these photos and if I actually know them. And there on the right with the telephone, that's my sister that passed away last year of cancer. And of course, the picture there, that's me with the hat on when I graduated from nursing school. And the picture, the old picture there, is my husband's grandfather holding one of his little children that actually died of cancer when he was 4 years old. And there's me again when I was graduating nursing school. I was so proud in that moment. And I was a whole lot slimmer in that moment, too. Hey, nursing school was tough. It was a tough time, okay? Now, here is me when I was born, and that's my sweet grandma, and my grandpa was petting me like a little puppy. My papa was Cherokee Indian, and I still miss that man to this very day. The lady with the black hair is my great aunt Juanita, my grandma's sister. She's been gone for many years. And then once again, you see my husband's papa and his wife and one of their kids. He was a moonshiner, and all of his family were moonshiners. They were really rough people. We always joke and say you only came out their road unless you wanted moonshine, a haircut, or to get shot. And that's just the way it is. I mean, it's crazy, but it's so true. I guess back in those days, people did whatever means they could to make money. Those times were very different, and it was very tough on them. So, I don't hold anything against anybody. Hey, y'all don't forget my videos are every Monday and Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I sure do hope to see you right here next time, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. If you did enjoy this video, I have one right here that has very similar content. If you just click on the video, that one will start when this one's finished. Also, if you click on my face, it will subscribe you to the channel. Thank you so much. God bless you and your families.